Hey y'all, Sabrina Bronner Forbes here, and it has been a while since I have done a video. Since I have been off YouTube, a lot has happened, a lot has changed. I became a therapist, and I also gave birth to one of the cutest babies alive ever. And it's been a fruitful time for me, even though I have been away from this ministry. But I'm so grateful that, if you stick close to God, He'll continue to grow you. And He has been doing that. He is still speaking. He is still sharing things with me. He is still teaching me. And He's really put a lot of things on my heart to share. One of the things that I'm very passionate about sharing at this time is mental health from a biblical perspective. Like, I don't want people to think that God is silent on the issue of mental health, because He's not. So as a believer, I look at life from a biblical perspective, right? But when God says something or He shows you something in the Bible and you see it happening in real life and the Bible's coming alive in real life, it kind of is a game changer for you. Like, it changes things. It's a different level of confirmation. And so part of this video is a story time, and the other part is a short teaching, right? Okay. Hey. Hey, cutie. So, story time. Yes. So during the time I was finishing my counseling degree, becoming a therapist, right, I started substitute teaching. And as many people may know, like, there's a very big shortage of teachers across the country. Like, they really need people going to these schools. But substitute teachers talk. And they will tell you, do not go to this school, do not go to that school, don't do this grade, just because it can be a little rough. So the consensus is usually stick to elementary school. Those kids are, they're innocent, they're helpful, they're more well-behaved, and they might tell you stay away from middle school, stay away from high school. Now, middle school is the grade level that I have heard the most people say stay away from, because the kids are in that in-between stage when they still have the immaturity of a child, but they also are becoming a young adult. And it's just a time of a lot of change and a lot of exploring of who you are and what, this life is about, and, what I'm becoming. So I have been in elementary schools, I've been in middle school, I've been in high school, right? But during the time that I was substitute teaching, I was also pregnant. So I was really adamant about making sure that I didn't stress myself out, I didn't put myself in a bad situation while I was teaching, and that I looked for opportunities that could be considered somewhat easy. Okay, so don't judge me on that, but that's what I was doing. So, like, this middle school opportunity came up, and normally I wouldn't have taken it, but I applied for it because it was like a media specialist, meaning you're going to be in the library. So I'm like, I can do that. I'm pregnant. I can do that. So I took the job. I went to the school. I get there and they were like, hey, I know that you signed up for the media specialist job, but we actually need you in this math class. So they did a switcheroo on me. And I didn't have to stay. I didn't have to accept it. But I went ahead and accepted it because I was going to end up having a schedule that was technically a half day, and I would be getting paid a full day. So I was like, okay, let me just brave this out, do it, going about my business. So I took the job, I'm in the class, and I had a lot of free time. So I'm a little nervous because I was teaching 6th and 7th graders. I didn't know what to expect. And, they were getting ready to come in after lunchtime. So I'm a little bit nervous. So I decided that I'm going to pray over the classroom just to set the atmosphere. And, that's just what I feel like I should do. So I did a prayer for cleaning out a room, building, or a home. So like there's this prayer I pray, like if I'm going to bless somebody's home, like if somebody asks me to come and like say a blessing over their home, it's a prayer that I pray. Or if I moved into a new place, there's a prayer that I pray. So I said this prayer in the classroom. So in this prayer, there's a specific line that's important. I'm gonna read it real quick. And it says, Lord, I ask you to render powerless, harmless, destroy the power of the enemy, any strong man, any demonic spirit, messenger of Satan, witchcraft prayers or curses that try to enter into the presence of anybody or anything in this room, that the enemy cannot come back while I am on this land. While I am on this land is important. Okay, so I say the prayer. My classes come in. It was okay. It was as rough as people said it would be. But at the end of the day, I enjoy kids. I understand kids are kids. And it ended up being an okay experience. It wasn't completely horrible. But there were a lot of behavioral issues in the classroom. There was a lot of like cursing, a lot of inappropriate conversations, and you had to keep on policing that, right, throughout the day. So I get through the day and I get home. I'm talking to my mom about the school systems and the things I've been seeing in the classrooms, and just discussing the state of school today, the state of the kids, and how there's this ongoing conversation about how bad the kids are, how bad schools are these days, and just what's going on, what's the problem, why can't we keep teachers in these positions, et cetera, right? And what is the answer to helping these children to learn better and to be able to focus and get the education that they are coming to school for? And I'm saying that because literally in the classroom I got half the students who are trying to pay attention, focus, do their work, and I got the other half acting a fool. Okay, just to keep it real, like, just being disruptive to that. That's just what it is and what it was. So, what is the answer to that? And I'm praying that. I ask, I'm like, God, like, what is it? Like, what can be done for these kids? And immediately he gives me a vision. Now, I recently started understanding what visions are, just as another like spiritual gift that God gives through his grace. And I start seeing like this thought pop in my head, but I wasn't really paying attention. Kind of like like if you're daydreaming, you might not really be 100% conscious of where your thoughts are going. It's kind of like that. So I'm seeing these images in my mind, but I'm not paying attention to it until I catch them. I'm like, wait a minute, what am I thinking about right now? What am I seeing? And this is what I saw. I realized God was giving me a vision. I'm seeing myself standing at the doorway of the classroom I had been at. And along the walls are lockers. And I see a bunch of people being something lined up against these lockers. They're single file walking back into the classroom that I have. And they're sitting down at a desk. But the strange thing about it was that these were not necessarily human people. I don't remember every specific thing I saw, but the ones that stood out were, there were these teenage looking kids that were dressed in like all black. They had a reserved nature to them. They had sunglasses on, like shades, and they were reminiscent of like how vampires, teenage vampires, are portrayed to us in the media, like in books and television shows. Like this idea that, you know, vampires are cool, like they wear sunglasses, they wear cool clothes, they're rich. Like that's kind of like the stereotype, right? But that's kind of what I was seeing portrayed in this thought. And then behind them were these two blue beings. They were like a boy and a girl, but the face was blue, the body was blue. And those are the ones I remember specifically. Didn't think much of it, but that's what I saw specifically. And I'm like, what are these things? And as they're walking into the classroom, they're looking at me and they're smirking when they're walking in, right? So I'm like, Lord, you showing me demons? These are demons? And I was like, he's literally answering the prayer. He's saying the problem is that these kids need deliverance. So it stood out to me, that thought, for a while, right? Because there are so many people who already are not believers in the world. And then there are also people who are believers but don't believe in deliverance. Okay, they don't believe in demons. They don't believe that's a thing. But if it's in the Bible, there's a biblical precedent for it. You got to examine that. And there is a biblical precedent for that in the Bible, that demons play a role in some of the things that behaviors we see in people, and some of the situations that we see play out in the world. So strangely enough, there was someone who shared a Tye Tribbett video with this group I'm in on Facebook. And in the video, Tye Tribbett is talking about the movie Inside Out, where there's like these personified emotions inside this girl's head or whatever. I haven't seen the movie. I've never seen the movie. But he's talking about the different moods that the girl has. One of them is fear, one of them is disgust, one of them is sadness, one of them is joy. And we were discussing that video, but what stood out to me was like, I'm like, okay, so they're personifying these emotions and these feelings as characters, these moods. But sadness was blue. Sadness was completely blue. It's a blue body. If you Google the movie Inside Out, you can see that sadness is one of the characters. Body is blue, face is blue. It made me think about the vision that I had. And I'm not saying that's exactly what God is showing me, but what I'm saying is God is in order, and he's specific. He does things with reason. So I believe that could be what he was showing me, as far as what I'm seeing and what I was praying against in the classroom that day. So strangely enough, I had prayed the prayer asking that those things not be able to return while I'm on this property. And God showed me I'm not on the property no more. Here they come marching back into the classroom. And they represent these things I'm praying about. They represent strong men, demonic spirits, satanic messengers, witchcraft, curses. So if you know anything about deliverance, like you know that deliverance has different levels to it. Like probably the beginning front line part of deliverance is binding the strong man, or getting those strongholds off of a person's mind so that there can be a path to deliverance from something in particular, right? So when you have a stronghold, you have a way of thinking in your mind. You have a set of belief systems that lead you to make certain decisions, that lead you to think a certain way, act a certain way. But it's based on ungodly knowledge or a lie or ungodly wisdom. So that certainly could be sadness. Somebody could have a stronghold of sadness on them from any number of patterns of thoughts that could have come from anything, trauma, anything, right? So my point is that there are demons and demonic issues running rampant among our kids. That's what God is showing me in these situations. People keep on asking, what can we do about these kids? What can we do about, the school system? How can we make it better? And if you're a believer, that's a very specific, answer and response. So I have 4 things that I will share as far as, what to do about, what to do about this next and moving forward. So first, number 1 is to pray over your kids daily. Pray for their futures, pray for their day, pray against anything that you may have seen in them, whether that might be some depression, whether that might be anxiety, whether that might be anything you see that's bothersome or worrisome. They're acting really rebellious, if they seem withdrawn, if they seem to be having anger issues, pray against those things, right? Number 2 would be to guard their ear gates and their eye gates. So keep your children innocent as long as you can. Keep them. Sorry about that. Keep your kids as innocent as you possibly can. This world is set up to take that away from them quickly. So do what you can to model decency in your household. Be mindful of what they're watching on TV, what music they're listening to, what they're seeing and taking in on social media. Like, you got to imagine bathing yourself in violence and sex and demonic doctrine for hours upon hours every day. What that can do to a child's mind, what that can do to a child's personality, right? So you're the parent, you guide them. So guard their ear gates and their eye gates. Number 3 is learn about deliverance and take your children through deliverance periodically, right? So with this particular step, you need to learn about it first, because you can't just step out there thinking you're going to do deliverance and you're not walking with God yourself. You got to be walking with God to perform deliverance, or those demons will make a mockery of you and it won't work. Okay, there's a story in the Bible about that. That's a story for another day. But you got to learn about it and learn how to take your child through it. It's really simple, but it does require that you are a believer and that you walk with the Lord for it to be successful. All right. And lastly, support them emotionally. If you see problems going on with your child, if it is mood problems, if it is anger problems, behavioral issues, they're getting in trouble at school a lot, those sorts of things, get them into counseling, get them into a particular position where they can express those emotions. They can talk to you. You can find out, how to intervene with certain things. Find out if there are programs you can get them into where they can express these things. Get them a journal. Teach them to journal. Make them journal. Just so that they're supported emotionally. They have an outlet for those things, because that's just something that is going to keep them mentally healthy. So with that being said, that's everything I had to say. I'll just see y'all on the next video. All right, bye.